The final cut is a masterpiece, but the first draft is a war zone. This is between the frames. Picture this. It's 1979. A dark screening room, filled with studio executives. They're about to watch the final cut of Ridley Scott's new sci-fi horror film, *Alien Star. They've seen the dailies, they know about the practical effects, they know what's coming in the now infamous chestburster scene. John Hurt starts convulsing on the dinner table. The tension builds. The tiny creature erupts from his chest in a spray of blood. The executives are professionals. They've seen it all. But then, the creature opens its mouth and lets out a shriek. A sound so piercing, so unnatural, it makes grown men flinch. It's a sound that crawls under your skin and stays there. In that moment, no one in the room could explain why it was so terrifying. They just knew it was. The sound itself was the monster. To understand how that scream was born, we have to talk about a man who, technically, shouldn't have even been there. Ben Burtt. By the late 70s, Burtt was already a legend in the making. He was George Lucas's go-to sound designer, the genius who gave a 2D to his voice from a mix of synthesizers and his own playful vocalizations, the man who created the iconic hum of a lightsaber from the motor of an old film projector. He was the Star Wars guy. But Burtt understood a fundamental truth about sound that would change cinema forever. Truly organic sounds must come from organic sources. You can't just fake biology on a synthesizer. When 20th Century Fox needed a voice for their new creature, they approached Burtt. He began his hunt the way you'd expect. He went to zoos and nature preserves, recording the most ferocious animals he could find. Lions roaring, tigers snarling, even pigs at a slaughterhouse. He captured powerful, primal sounds. But when he played them back against the footage of the xenomorph, something was wrong. They were all too familiar, too earthly. A lion's roar is scary, but we have a file for it in our brains. It's mammalian. We recognize it. The alien couldn't sound like just another predator. It had to sound, well, alien. Frustrated, Burtt's library of reel-to-reel tapes grew, each one labeled with a sound that just wasn't right. Nothing was clicking. The creature remained silent. The breakthrough came from the most unexpected place imaginable. Burtt took a trip to the UC Davis Animal Behavior Lab. He wasn't looking for anything specific, just hoping for inspiration. While there, a graduate student was recording something peculiar, tortoises mating. The sound was bizarre. It was low, guttural, a slow, labored groaning that sounded almost geological, like the shifting of tectonic plates. It was deeply biological but completely unfamiliar. Burtt knew he'd found something. He took the tape back to his studio. This is where the true alchemy began. He didn't just use the tortoise recording as it was. He started manipulating it, treating the raw sound like a sculptor treats clay. He slowed it down, pitching it lower and lower, stretching it out until it became a deep, rasping drone. But it still needed texture. It needed layers of violence. So he added more organic sounds. He recorded the wet, squishing sound of a cantaloupe being crushed. He recorded the sharp, tearing sound of a piece of canvas being ripped apart. These gave the scream its visceral, flesh and bone quality. Then, for the final, haunting touch, he added a human element, his own voice, screaming, but played backward. A ghost in the machine. He mixed these four distinct elements together: the slowed-down tortoise for the bass, the crushed cantaloupe for the wetness, the torn canvas for the sharp attack, and the reversed human scream for that unsettling, spectral quality. The resulting combination was a sound no human ear had ever heard before. It was completely unrecognizable. It bypassed the logical part of the brain and tapped directly into the primal fear center. So, what made this sound so effective? It wasn't the individual sources. A tortoise on its own isn't scary. A cantaloupe is just fruit. The terror came from the radical unfamiliarity of the composite sound. Our brains are pattern recognition machines. When we hear a sound, we instantly try to categorize it. Dog barking, car horn, baby crying. We know what they mean. But this sound, it had no category. The brain asks, "What am I hearing?" and comes up with nothing. That void, that inability to process the information, is filled with pure, undiluted fear. It's the sound of the unknown. As Burtt himself later explained, he wanted the alien to sound like it was born, not built. The sound needed to feel biological, but not in any way we could comprehend. The tortoise gave him birth. The other elements gave him violence. Together, they created life. If you listen to the chestburster's scream in isolation, You can almost hear the layers. There's the low, guttural growl from the tortoise, the wet, sickening squelch of the cantaloupe, the high-pitched rip of the canvas, and that chilling, ethereal wail of the reversed human voice. It's a symphony of terror, constructed from the mundane. Burtt didn't invent a sound. He discovered a combination that unlocked a pre-existing fear. 45 years later, that scream is just as effective as it was in 1979. It hasn't aged a day because it was never trendy. It was never based on the synthesizer of the moment or a fleeting audio fad. It was based on a deep understanding of psychology and biology. It was true. Ben Burtt's work on *Alien* proved that the most terrifying things are not the ones we see, but the ones we hear and cannot comprehend. It taught a generation of filmmakers and sound designers that the best sound isn't just heard. It's felt deep in your bones. Thanks for watching. For more stories behind the moments that stayed with you, subscribe to Between the Frames.